What is going on, everybody? Happy Friday. It is your host, Justin Vandehey, here at aSaaSins. Trying something new this week. We're going to put in a little FaceTime. Usually I had a face for radio, but with the web series, what we're going to do here is we're going to highlight one company each week in a particular space that's doing some really interesting and big things, and really get to the point in deciding whether or not I'd pull out my wallet and put some money into the company. All hypothetical, obviously, at this point, but interesting to dig into some industries and unpack and see what people are doing. But before we do that, what I want to do is I want to give a special shout out to a handful of companies and different teams that are doing some big things. Major kudos to a handful of these groups that have either raised their Series B, Series A, or seed round. Just want to give a couple notable shout outs. Companies like Freeman, StyleScan, Hammock, Zelix, big company there that raised accounts payable focus, raising $5 million at the Series A. Adaptive, a really awesome solution for construction teams to help them manage their back office. They raised a $6.5 million round by Andreessen Horowitz. I think that's going to be really massive. Organizations like Inspective on the security side of things, looking at vulnerability scanning. They raised an $8.6 million Series A round. Finalis, another really exciting opportunity looking at how deals get done in private markets, focusing on deal makers there. They raised a $10.7 million seed round. And then some big fatties at the Series B. Tesorio, they're looking at the accounts receivable space. I think that's a ton of room for disruption there. A $17 million Series B round that was led by BAMCap Ventures. And really, I think a really big opportunity there. And then lastly, Snowplow Analytics, a really large Series B, $40 million, some insane investors there, including Databricks, Cloudflare, and DataRobot. So exciting opportunities here for these teams. Just doing their thing. Big shout outs. Excited to see what these organizations build as they grow and scale. So without further ado, I want to get into the show. aSaaSins, let's get it rolling.
Hustle, grind, hustle. See them dollar signs. Hustle, grind, assassin state of mind. Hustle, grind. See them dollar signs, assassin state of mind, assassin state of mind, hustle, grind. See them dollar signs way above the.
Oh, hey, welcome back. It's your host, Justin Vandehey, here at aSaaSins. Excited to have you in. Again, week one, new series here, where every week we're going to highlight and go a little bit deeper on one company in particular that's doing big things and on their way to building a massive business and becoming an assassin. So this week, one of the companies that I mentioned previously at the intro that I wanted to go a little bit deeper on is a company called StyleScan. And what's really exciting about StyleScan, first I'll just give you an overview on the company. So StyleScan is a virtual dressing technology company that was built for the fashion industry. So they closed a $1 million seed round on top of a $2 million round that they raised in Q2 of 2021. The firm that put in was actually Clearbrook Capital, so the team's based out of LA. But I think what's particularly interesting about StyleScan as we get into sort of the problem that they're solving and the industry that they're going after is that it's a huge problem, not only for retail, but for consumers. And so what StyleScan again does as a virtual dressing room is they allow people that are shopping online to essentially try or model it out before they buy. And that solves a big problem when you think about the costs that a lot of these e-commerce businesses and online retailers spend when they're trying to minimize how often they have to ship merchandise back and forth. And by giving customers confidence online before they actually purchase the offering, it's going to help improve conversion rates. So it's sort of twofold. It helps with a lot of minimizing the costs around reducing returns, and then also on the back end around things like inventory management and lowering shipping and logistical costs. So what the team at StyleScan has built is it's actually there's some ML and AI applied to it, but it's essentially an offering called Model Switch, which helps online shoppers preview garments on models that look like them, with a wide range of different body shapes, sizes, different skin tones. And it really helps make the fashion more relatable to the consumer before they buy it. And so what's really cool about this is that shoppers can actually visualize their purchases on models that resemble them, which is sort of neat. And what they're finding is that the consumers in that case or customers are almost 30% more likely to buy as a result of that. And so obviously that helps drive a lot of bread for retailers that use the product, and it helps make the shopping experience a lot better. So beyond that, looking at just the total size of the market, it is massive, as you can imagine. So online commerce in the US alone was almost $900 billion last year. So that's not specific to fashion, but in doing a little bit deeper research in the space, what we found is that AI in fashion is also a growing category. So over the next 4 years, it's projected to grow to almost 2.42 billion. And that is just that subsegment of AI in fashion, which I think is pretty remarkable. So as you can see, fashion is blowing up. Yeah, fashion is blowing up. So the team, really exciting group of entrepreneurs in here. So I think what's particularly interesting about this team, Larissa Posner, the CEO, she has a tremendous amount of experience in fashion and retail. She was actually a catalog model herself, so she understands the pain of this, and not to mention she has a certificate from MIT in machine learning. So a lot of deep expertise in both the category and the problem that she's solving, and also has some pretty solid ML chops as well. She has built out her executive team with this round. So Hein Hundal, who's a CTO, he's also a professor at Penn State, and he's got a pretty well decorated background in mathematics and a scientist there at a PhD level. And then they've also brought in a couple other folks on the executive team. So Galina Sobolev, sorry if I'm butchering the name, but she's joining as the CMO and also has a tremendous amount of experience in dedicated retail and fashion. So it's a super solid team. The other really interesting thing is we started to do a little bit more research on the space. I think that, the one thing I will recognize as we're analyzing the opportunity is that they're still pretty early. So I think if you look at kind of what I can imagine the last year looked like, they raised $2 million in Q2 of last year. So I'm guessing a lot of that was centered on finding product market fit. And so this $1 million bridge round is probably to put a little bit more gas on the fire. So they mentioned in their press release that, they signed a dozen different customers and that they've started generating some revenue, which is great because I think it signals that they're getting the B2B sales motion going. But I think what is clear is now with this $1 million that it's probably a sprint to get to the next toll gate to raise the Series A. So it's not going to be easy by any means, I'm sure. I personally, having sold into specialty retail at Nomi, I know the B2B sales cycles can be long. But I think what is particularly interesting about this is there's probably a lot of different channel opportunities for this group as well. If you think about not only just direct to a lot of specialty and big box retailers that could leverage this technology, but even looking at teams like Shopify or potentially even integrating with some of the e-commerce platforms like Kibo or BigCommerce or even SAP or Salesforce on the inventory side could open up some really interesting channel opportunities for this group. I think the other challenge that they're going to face, there's probably a lot of the larger folks that are trying to come for their lunch. So I know Walmart, I saw, acquired a company called Zkit. It looks like Amazon is also building out their own solutions. And there's a couple of other players, though, that I think haven't been able to crack it and maybe have just been a little earlier to market. So there's a company called TrueFit, which raised a $6.9 million round back in 2011. And then TriMirror, which raised a $2.5 million round some time ago. So there's a lot of interesting movement happening in the category where it looks like it's a growth category. It looks like it's going to be a continuing to be a problem with higher returns projected. I think a lot of retailers are expecting returns to increase as obviously more folks shop online versus in store. But it definitely means that the team's probably going to have to hustle to get to that next round of financing. But I think the big question really then again to round it out is, what do you do? Do you do a deal or do you not do a deal? Drum roll. Okay, now I'll just put the GIF up. I would back this team. Not a lot of suspense there, but I think what I'm finding and what I realize in retail is it's massive business. I'm a big believer in the future of e-com. I think that it's going to be a really, really big opportunity. I don't know Larissa and the team personally, but I love the fact that she has experience and expertise and has actually felt the pain of what happens in this category. And I think that means a lot, especially when you're trying to build and design a solution. The market's growing. She has strong venture backing. So it's not just a hodgepodge group of, angels. She has a really strong support network, and it looks also like the revenue signal is there. So I think, again, it's going to come down to whether the team can hustle to really ramp up their direct sales motion and use this $1 million to get there. So excited to see where the team goes. Excited to see the innovation that's happening here in the space. And yeah, congrats again to the team at StyleScan for closing the round, and excited to see where you take it. All right, that is a wrap. Week 1 in the books. Appreciate y'all sticking with me here. Would love to hear from you and hear what you thought about the Week 1 episode. If you hate it, let me know. If you loved it, let me know. If you want to hear more about a particular industry, let me know. You can email me at justin@asaasins.com, ASAASINS.com. And check out the website. If you want to sign up for the newsletter, you can hit us up that way too. We're going to be doing another recap of companies that are closing and hustling and doing big deals every week here on both the video series as well as the podcast. And we've got a couple things coming out on the site content-wise as well, so be on the look for those. But again, appreciate you tuning in. And until then, as you know, you just got to keep hustling, keep grinding, and keep getting that money. Thanks, everybody.
Hustle, grind, see them dollar signs, assassins, state of mind, assassins, state of mind. Hustle, grind, see them dollar signs way above the bottom.